Analysing Manchester City's summer transfer window. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Manchester City's recent activity in the transfer window and rating it as a percentage. Here's how the ratings work. Every new arrival will have an overall rating of 20. The first 10 will be for how well they fit the team, in my opinion, and the other 10 is the value they paid for the player. However, every departure will only have a rating out of 10, and it's on the fee they receive for the player. We're going to start with the signings, and obviously starting with the cheapest. Bettinelli was bought for €2.4 million from Chelsea. I'm not really going to give him a rating, as he was, in my opinion, just bought for the same reason as Scott Carson was there previously, just to help with the homegrown players registration, just so Manchester City can register more players, so he doesn't get any rating, not any. Naipan cost Manchester City €15 million from Rothenburg. The highly rated 18-year-old was being monitored by several top clubs, including Arsenal and Aston Villa in the Premier League. He obviously wasn't bought into making an immediate impact right now, but rather a long-term investment. This is evident as Manchester City loaned him out already, as they want him to grow and develop for the future. I personally think he'll be a starter for Manchester City in 2-3 seasons, and we'll get to see how good he actually is. In terms of fit for the team, I'll currently give Naipan a 4 out of 10. He's not ready to be starting week in, week out for Manchester City. If they kept him, I doubt he would have featured much in my opinion. For value, however, it's a 10 out of 10. He may not be an instant impact, but they got him for an incredibly low fee, and I do think this will be seen as the biggest bargain ever in Manchester City's history. Naipan's rating out of 20 is 14. Donnarumma cost Manchester City €30 million from PSG. Arguably the best goalkeeper in the world last year, and was vital in PSG's first Champions League win. It came as a surprise to me when Luis Enrique confirmed that he's out of his plans for the upcoming season. I don't know if it's because he didn't fit Enrique's system, but he kind of did and didn't, but he also did help them in the hardest tournament at club level, so I'm not sure what happened there. I think it came down to the wages in the end. He's an excellent shot stopper. We saw against Manchester United with his brilliant save against Mbumo, but a part of me doesn't see how he fits perfectly into the Pep Guardiola system. He's not the best of his feet, and Pep's keepers in the past have all been ball-playing goalkeepers. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for fitting the system, because if they tried to play out the back, he will, in my opinion, make a couple mistakes, but his world-class shot stopping makes up for it. For value, 10 out of 10. Arguably the best goalkeeper in the world for only €30 million. Donnarumma's rating out of 20 is 17. James Trafford cost Manchester City €31.2 million from Burnley. It would have been more if Man City didn't have a sell-on fee clause when selling him to Burnley originally. I have to say before Donnarumma, he looked like a good signing, but I just can't see how this works. Only 4 years difference in age between him and Donnarumma, and it's not like they're outfield players where they can just sub one of them off for the last 30 minutes. No, that's not something we see with keepers. Will he accept being a number 2 with the World Cup coming up? I don't know. I don't see how he could start for Manchester City in the next 5 to 6 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's loaned out in January and sold for more in the summer. He's a good keeper with huge potential. He's only 22 years old and conceded 15 goals in 46 matches last year. In terms of fitting the team, I'm going to give him a 5, because he also isn't the best playing out the back, and unless Donnarumma suffers an injury, I can't see how he's number 1. For value, I'm going 8 out of 10. He would have cost way more if it was for any other team, but because Manchester City had a sell-on clause, it allowed them to get him back for cheaper, and I'm sure City will make a profit on him in the future. Trafford's rating out of 20 is 13. Ryan Cherki cost Manchester City €36.5 million from Lyon. I think he would have cost more, but Lyon's financial difficulties lowered his price. He's an excellent playmaker who will either go down the streets won't forget route or a world-class footballer, and in my opinion, he will become a world-class footballer. That game against Spain where he came on at 5-1, he single-handedly made the scoreline 5-4, with 1 goal, 1 assist, and an excellent pass for Gusto, whose cross forced the own goal. For value, I'm going 9 out of 10. I think he still is a bit unproven, but he is class, fully evident as it was shown in the Spain game. But let's be real, he's not really proven at the top level so far. But for fitting the team, I'm going to have to say an 8. I think he will thrive centrally, and if Pep wants, he can give him the freedom, which I think he could also feature off the right. I'm excited to see how he plays for them, but as of right now, he does unfortunately have an injury, so we'll have to wait to see how he actually fits into the system. Cherki's rating out of 20 is 17. Ryan Aït-Nouri cost Manchester City €36.8 million from Wolves. A very skillful player who's been on the eye for a few top clubs in the last few years, and Manchester City eventually got him. It's a different type of left back compared to what Manchester City are used to having. They usually put centre backs at left back in recent years in Gvardiol and Ake. In terms of value, I'm going 9 out of 10, as they're going for relatively cheap considering the market nowadays. In terms of fitting the team, I'm not sure, as Aït plays like a winger, and at Wolves was given freedom to play wing back, and sometimes even winger. I can't see him playing there for City, so defensively I'm a bit worried about him. I'm going to go with 7 out of 10, because he does have plenty of cover in the midfield, so I don't think it will be too much of an issue, but something to keep an eye out for. Aït rating out of 20 is 16. City's last arrival, and the most expensive of them all, is Tijani Reinders, who cost them, for now, 55 million euros from AC Milan and could potentially rise to 70 million euros with potential add-ons. AC Milan's best player last season, and in my opinion, top 3 players in the Serie A. He was playing for a relatively bad side, but he was the standout. Milan didn't have the best seasons last year, but Reinders definitely had a good season individually. His values are 9 out of 10, as I would have thought Reinders cost 80 million euros, but that wasn't the case. The max will go to 70 million euros, so I think City got a good deal for themselves there. He also fits the system quite well, a very technical midfielder, a good presser, which is the ideal Pep midfielder, so I'm giving him a 10 for fitting the system. Reinders' rating out of 20 is 19. That's the incomings done. On to the outgoings. And starting with the loans first. Manuel Akanji, whose loan fee is 1 million euros, and with a 15 million euros buy option, not mandatory. Akanji was bought for that amount in 2022. He's been an excellent player for Manchester City in the last 3 seasons. There's no guarantee Inter activate the buy option, but I feel like City could have gone around 30 million euros for Akanji. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for value, because I don't see how Inter Milan don't activate the 15 million euros buy option, considering how consistent he is and reliable. Unless there's a big injury, I see Inter Milan activating this. Grealish joined Everton on loan with an option to buy for 50 million. He's had a good start to life there, winning the August Player of the Month. But even if Everton do activate the buy option, which I don't think they will, I think they'll try and negotiate it down, Manchester City would have lost 50 million on him. They bought him for 100 million. They did get a decent couple years off him, especially in the treble winning season, so I'm going to give the potential fee and loan that they could receive from him in the future a 5 out of 10. As Echeverri joined Bayer Leverkusen on loan, there's no buy option in this deal. He's 19 years old with bags of potential, so I think this is a good move for all parties if he can get playing time. I think he'll help Leverkusen win some matches and then come back with more experience and potentially walk his way into the Manchester City starting 11. So Echeverri gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Victor Reis joined Girona on loan, same as Echeverri. Good for both parties if he can get game time, an 8 out of 10. Ederson cost Fenerbahce 11 million euros, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 for fee. He's been world class for 8 to 9 seasons. Well, actually, 8, because I feel like last year he wasn't at his best. And he's still only 32 years old, which is incredibly young for a goalkeeper. He should have been sold for at least 40 million euros in my opinion, similar to what they originally paid for him. They let go of him for far too cheap. Mayomo Peron joined Como for 13 million euros, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like they could have loaned him out and waited 1 more year before selling him for a potential profit, but it's still not a bad fee to receive for a player who was never going to get anywhere near the Manchester City starting 11. The most expensive departure for Manchester City, James McAtee. They sold him for 25.5 million euros to Nottingham Forest, which in my opinion is too cheap. They could have gotten 50 million euros for him in my opinion, but they do have a buyback clause, which is why I believe they let him go for so cheap. So I'm going to give this deal a 5 out of 10. That's all the incomings and outgoings done. Let's add up all of the ratings and see what Manchester City's rating as a percentage is. Manchester City's total score with all of the ratings added up comes to 138 out of 190, which as a percentage is 72.6%. Unfortunately, they don't make it into the A tier as you need 75% and above. They make it into the B tier, alongside Liverpool. That's the end of the video, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you agree with my ratings. Reminder, everyone, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, so please help us in achieving our goal. Thank you for watching.